Welcome to The Discerning Mother, the podcast for Jesus-loving moms who want to tune out the noise and tune into God's design for motherhood. I'm Brigid, a board-certified women's health coach, holistic health practitioner, birth nerd, and homeschooling mom of 5. I help moms to heal their minds and bodies, trust their instincts, and embrace the beauty of the way God created them. Here we talk about birth, hormones, motherhood, faith, and anything else. Let's go. Alrighty, welcome back. So today I want to talk to you about something that I personally am struggling with just based off of the time of year that we're in and also some of my past history. So just a little bit of background in case you don't know this about me. I actually struggled with disordered eating for about 5 years. And in those 5 years, it was pretty bad. My lowest weight, I was like 118 pounds, which with me being almost 5, 6, 7-ish and having like a pretty thick build, I was very, very thin. Very thin. I was like a size 00 for a while, and it was just like not good at all. And I struggled with not only anorexia, but I also went into binge-purge cycles. I would over-exercise. It was just like not good at all. I took certain diet pills and did all the things because I just personally felt like I was not thin enough, and also this is something that I can control. And so why am I telling you this? Well, you might not think that birth trauma and disordered eating have much in common. And at first glance, they seem completely separate. One is about food and the other is about birth. But when you really start to peel back the layers, like when you look at what's happening underneath of the surface, it's the same wound that's showing up just in two completely different ways. Both of these things are about control. Both come from moments where you felt unsafe. And both are telling you this lie that you can't trust your body. You have to manipulate your body. Your body doesn't know what it's doing. It's not good. It's ugly, right? Like all of these things. And so I personally work with a lot of women who come to me for birth trauma and then they reveal I actually do have a lot of problems around food. And I really do try to control what it is that I eat, how I eat it. I struggle with binging. I find myself in the pantry whenever I get stressed out, right? And so for me personally, this idea that I can't trust my body's not good, started long before I ever gave birth, right? So as I mentioned, I spent years caught in disordered eating. I was obsessed with food and exercise. I remember sitting in class thinking about what I was going to be eating. And it was just insane. And so I told myself that I was healthy and that I was disciplined. But really, I was just really scared. Again, I didn't trust myself. I didn't feel safe in my body. I didn't necessarily even feel safe in my environment. And again, not because my environment was unsafe, but that's just my perception of what was around me. And so controlling food was the one thing that made me feel safe. And again, I know how ridiculous that might sound, but it is so true. And maybe for you, it's not food. Maybe it's some other form of control. But whatever it is, that control that I had gave me some kind of power, right? And so later on, when I experienced my own birth trauma, it really hit me. And I had been kind of in recovery from the disordered eating at that point for, probably about 4 or 5 years. So it wasn't necessarily something I thought about every single day. But the same feelings that drove me into disordered eating, really came roaring. There was that fear, the loss of control. There was shame. There was a desperate need to, do something to feel safe again. And so I remember thinking, this is the same pattern that I went through before. It's the same thing that I was feeling before. It just has a different face to it. And so that realization really changed everything because it showed me that the issue wasn't food. The issue wasn't birth. It was really, truly my own nervous system and my own dial of safety. It was my heart. It was the belief that safety had to be earned or controlled instead of just received. And so just to give you some background on this too, disordered eating, again, really isn't about food. And if this isn't something that you struggle with, you might not really understand this. And thanks be to God that you didn't ever struggle with this, and pray that you never ever do struggle with this. But again, disordered eating isn't about food. So, and just like birth trauma isn't about the birth itself typically. They're both about what happens around your sense of safety during those things. And so when something happens that overwhelms your body, whether that's starvation or purging or being told in labor that like you have no say, your nervous system goes into survival mode. And when your body's in survival mode, it says, I'm not safe, I can't trust, I have no control. And so you start doing whatever makes you feel less hopeless. So for me, that was restricting. That was over-exercising. That was obsessing. That was numbing. At one point, it was shutting down completely and really disconnecting from my body because it just felt too painful to stay inside of it. And at that point, I was literally eating about like 4 apples a day, and that was it. Because that's what I felt like I needed to do in order to feel safe and to be able to control this. And I'm not joking. Like it was literally like I was eating 4 apples a day, and it's insane. And so the same thing happens after birth trauma, though. And so you might not even realize it, but when your voice wasn't heard in that labor room, or maybe your body was treated like something that it had to be managed, something inside of you broke a little bit. And so you learned, consciously or not, that you can't trust your body to do what it's supposed to do. And that's why so many women who have experienced birth trauma later on find themselves struggling with body image, anxiety, food, or control issues, because it's the same nervous system that's trying to find safety. And so for me personally, I didn't connect the dots on these two things for a long time, but I remember the exact moment it clicked. And when I realized that I'd spent so much of my life trying to dominate my body instead of trying to listen to it. And again, that's not freedom. Like, that is fear that's dressed up as discipline, where control feels powerful in the moment, but it literally really slowly turns into a cage. And you end up shrinking your life to fit what feels safe. And that cage keeps you from ever experiencing real peace. And like, trust me on this, it is so true. This is the reason that I really wanted to speak on this, is because this is going to be coming out right around Halloween. I know that my kids and I we have too much candy in our house. And I don't love Halloween to begin with, but for what I'm noticing is that it's like, I want to eat all the candy. And I have to think, like, why is it that I want to eat all this candy? I don't even like this candy. It doesn't even taste good, but I want to eat it. And after like really sitting with it, it's like, I am tired in my life right now. Like, there's so much going on. We have 5 kids. I have this business that's, thanks be to God, is growing so well, but I am tired. And I am using this food as like this crutch in order to, like, this is something that I control. I can control what I put in my mouth. And yeah, this little bit of sugar gives me like this little high for a minute, this little dopamine rush, and then it comes with a crash. And so I can see how those past wounds that I struggled with are starting to resurface a little bit. And that's okay, because that's how healing is. Okay, and I'm going to get to that in a little bit. But so if you personally have ever struggled with either like disordered eating, body image issues, birth trauma, like, I need you to hear that healing does not come from fixing your behavior. Okay? It comes from understanding why you started trying to control in the first place. Because there's always going to be a reason. Like, something happened that made your body stop feeling safe. Okay? And it doesn't matter if you had like the best upbringing, the most wonderful parents, the safest place ever. Like, we are fallen people, unfortunately, and we're all going to be wounded. Even if you're being raised by literal saints, like, unfortunately, we all sin. And that's just the matter of fact of it all. And so your nervous system is brilliant. God created you so well, and it will do whatever it takes to protect you, even if that protection ends up hurting you in the long run. And so instead of asking yourself right now, like when you reach into the cupboard and like want to grab the candy, instead of asking like, what's wrong with me? That's not going to help you. Instead, maybe ask like, why am I doing this? What happened to me? Like, what was the moment you first stopped trusting your body? Was it a comment about your weight when you were young? Was it a time when you brought like a pain or an injury to a doctor and it was dismissed? Like a medical experience where your voice was ignored? Maybe it was your birth where things like totally spiraled out of control and no one explained what was happening. And so that's where the root is. That's where your body learned to associate trust with danger. And you need to know, like, again, your body was created so beautifully, and your body's not actually the enemy. It really truly is the messenger. And so every craving, every compulsion, every reaction is just your body's way of saying, like, please, 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 please notice me. Like, please make me feel safe again. Please make me feel safe again. And so again, that's why this lasting healing means learning to work with your body and not against it. It means that you need to really slow down enough to notice what's happening inside of you. And I know personally, that's my problem. I do not slow down enough to notice what's happening. Or if I do notice, I'm like, well, I'm not slowing down to fix it. Like, I just have to keep going, right? And so I know a lot of you women listening to this, that's you too, where it's like, you can't slow down, you can't stop for that drink of water, you have to keep going, going, go, go, go. Or maybe you don't give yourself the compassion that you never actually got in those moments. Like, if you think back to yourself as a little girl and maybe your mom or somebody told you that you were fat, like, you never got the compassion that you needed. You never got the person to, like, put their arm around you and say, like, you are so beautiful just the way that you are. Right? And so, like, that's where we have to bring God into this, because only God can make something that's broken whole again. And I'm not saying that you're broken, but, like, we all have these little cracks in us, and only His love can really teach you what that safety actually feels like. So, and it's not in your head, but it's in your body. And so again, you can read all the self-help books, you can do all the things, but if your body doesn't feel safe, nothing is going to work, unless by God's grace. And so when you begin to understand that your body is good, it's been created by God, it's not a mistake that needs to be fixed, like, everything starts to change, because you start seeing your healing not as this project, but as this opportunity, like almost like a relationship. And you start to really see your body as a temple, not something that you just need to, like, manipulate and try to control. And again, this is not easy work. Like, I wish it was. It is not easy. I remember back to whenever I was first starting my healing process with the eating, I was working with a woman, and she said, Brigid, your only task is to just eat one meal a day. Literally one meal. She didn't even tell me, like, what to eat or anything. She just said, like, I was in college at the time, and she was like, just go to the cafeteria and get one meal and just sit there and eat the entire thing. Doesn't matter how big it is, how small it is, doesn't matter what it is, but it couldn't just be an apple. It had to be some sort of protein. I guess she did give a little bit. Had to be some sort of protein, a little bit of, like, a carbohydrate or starch, and then a little bit of vegetables. And I still remember that first meal that I ever ate was a falafel. And I'm like, why did I choose a falafel? But that's what I chose. It was a falafel. And it was, like, so scary to put that trust in not only myself, in my body, but also in God, to be like, if I eat this food, then I'm not going to immediately, like, blow up to 500 pounds. Like, same thing with birth trauma, where it's like, God, if I trust you to take care of me during this birth, even after what happened last time around, it doesn't necessarily mean the exact same situation is going to happen again. And honestly, more often than not, He creates these beautiful, redeeming, healing experiences when you invite Him into it. And so, again, healing is not this, like, one-time event. It's a practice. It's a rhythm of returning again and again and again to what you know is true. And sometimes there are days, literally yesterday and today, I'm like, I want to eat all the candy. And part of it's, like, the phase of cycle I'm in, but also it's like, I'm so tired and everything feels out of control right now. And so this is what I can control in this twisted way. So again, sometimes it sneaks in through food or a phone or even business or even controlling your kids. And in motherhood, like, wanting my kids to behave a certain way, like wanting my home to look a certain way, wanting to feel like I'm on top of things, right? Like, and every time I can recognize now that that's a signal that something inside of me feels unsafe again. And this is something that I work with women on all the time. I had one client in particular, she had 9 children, and she was known, like, outside in her community as, like, the family who had it all together, even with 9 kids. And so she felt like she always had to show up perfectly. And she never judged others whenever they didn't show up like that, but she judged herself when she didn't show up like that. And so really just working on, like, what is at the root of needing to show up perfectly? What's at the root of needing to feel like you're on top of things all the time? That your home has to be perfect, that your kids have to look a certain way, they have to act a certain way, right? And obviously we use common sense and we say like, yes, we should have manners, and yes, we don't want to live in like filth. But time and time again, when you have that feeling, that like that OCD feeling that keeps coming back, that's a signal that something feels unsafe. And that's whenever you have to pause, you have to pray, you have to breathe. Like, just ask him, say like, Lord, help me to rest in you instead of trying to control everything, right? Because surrender is something that you have to do intentionally over and over and over again. And because peace is not something that you earn through control, again, it's earned through surrender. It's earned through sitting in with God. It's earned through knowing that he's going to take care of you. Okay? So it means that you learn to recognize when you're slipping into survival and really just take yourself back into that trust. And so some days that might look like journaling. Some days it might look like saying no, just saying no. And some days that can mean like sitting on your kitchen floor crying, right? Like, and that's okay. That's all healing. That's all holy. And again, healing is not linear, but it's proof that God is redeeming you, and he's even redeeming the most broken parts of your story. And so right now, maybe you can see yourself in the relationship with food that I struggled with as well. Or maybe it's something different. Maybe it's another form of control. Maybe it's, again, OCD tendencies. Maybe it's your thoughts about what your body looks like. Again, like, you're not alone in feeling these things. Everybody feels these things to some degree or another. But it's up to you to change that, because you can control your thoughts. And it's hard. It's really, really hard. It's so hard. But again, it's possible. And so right now, that's up to you. So you can rebuild your trust with your body. You can do that. You have that decision to make. And so if you're not sure where to start, I created a free quiz to help you uncover what your body and your nervous system might be holding on to. It's called the Birth Quiz. And it'll help you understand your next step towards healing. And you can take it at the link below in the show notes. Or if you're ready for more, if you're like, Brigid, I need this help. I need you to do this with me. Then just click on the link below to book a call, and we'll see how we can work together. And above all else, just remember, healing isn't about becoming who you used to be before the pain. It's truly about becoming the woman that God had in mind when he created you. Again, I'm going to repeat that again because that's like my tagline there. It's about becoming the woman God had in mind when he created you. And that's a woman who walks with peace and not control. She trusts her body. She trusts the one who made it, right? And so again, that is you. And all you have to do is just take those initial steps. God will take care of the rest. All right, I'll see you guys next time.